All right. Hi, Camille. How are you?
Hey, I'm good. How are you?
Good. Thanks. Enjoying the fall weather where I am. How about
Yes,
you?
it's actually kind of warm today for fall weather, but all the leaves are changing and it's all beautiful out. So yeah, it's awesome.
Good. Good. Awesome. Kind of goes with your branding colors too. The orange and the purple is a little
The
bit
orange
fall.
and the purples. Yes, yeah, I'm totally feeling the fall. So yeah, it's really good.
Good. Well, thanks so much for joining us today. I'm excited to hear what you have to say in relationship to how we as business owners can be more thoughtful and kind of integrate our financial situation both in our business and our personal lives, and how those they do impact each other, obviously, but a lot of times we tend to kind of silo them and isolate them. So I'm excited to hear what you have to say on that topic. But I do want you to just give a little quick intro for yourself in case I missed anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, I'm super passionate about entrepreneurs. I'm an optimization coach and I'm a financial professional, and I just love untangling the mess that is out there in entrepreneur land, and helping people get everything straight, including their money stuff. So that's kind of what I do. And I've been an entrepreneur for a super long time. I don't know, like 15 years or something. So yeah, it's kind of my sweet spot. It's what I love. So thanks for having me. I'm excited.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Well, let's start with thinking about what type of financial planning would actually help business owners the most. Is there like a specific track, niche, or way to think about our financial planning?
Yeah. Yeah, so financial stuff is really personal to people. Even if you're looking at doing it in a business setting, everybody still has their own like way that they want it to be and what they want as a result and all of that kind of stuff. So usually when people are talking about their finances and financial planning, I encourage them to find somebody that they really like working with, and that person's strategy, their financial person's strategy, matches what they're comfortable with and what they love. Because a lot of times people go talk to a financial person and then they're like, yeah, they didn't really answer my questions, or I didn't feel very comfortable. And that's no good. Like, ask lots of questions. Don't be afraid to ask as many questions as you want until you understand it. And then get somebody who you jive with. That like their risk tolerance and how they like to do things, all of that stuff meshes together, and you feel comfortable with them. Like, you don't want to feel intimidated or like they make you feel like you're not smart when you're talking to them. They should be answering your questions. They should be helping you. They should making you feel good about what's going on with your finances. That's the kind of person you want to work with. So that's kind of my overall strategy: is find someone that can help you, that you really want to work with, and where you feel comfortable.
Awesome. Yeah, very practical advice. And personally, I had a situation where I had a financial advisor that I didn't feel was listening to me. And I love to ask questions and do all the research. So with my present financial advisor, I really do feel like I can, dive into the nitty gritty if I want to, and that matches my personality. So strongly agree with that, because otherwise it just kind of feels like isolating or something, like you're dealing with two different things if the person doesn't have a similar personality or goals or way of communicating with you. So that's really helpful. All right, well, let's talk about like designing your financial plan and when you should sort of leave it to the professionals versus when you can do it for yourself. And I know as an entrepreneur and kind of wearing the multiple hats, I tend to actually, I was just doing my budget for 2024 yesterday, so this is very relevant. But it's like you kind of have to know your numbers, dive in a little bit on your own, but then there are also things that a professional can help you with. And a lot of times you might not even realize that you have certain patterns or financial blocks kind of about how you're thinking about your money, and especially moving your money from your business to your personal life, how you pay yourself, all of those things. Can you talk a little bit more about creating a financial plan and what we should do ourselves versus what we should get a professional to help us with?
Yeah. So I usually see this go in extremes, and I don't think either one of the extremes is great. One extreme is, I don't want to pay somebody else, so I'm going to do it all myself, and I got this.
Mhm.
And then, like you just said, we miss the high level, we miss the strategies, we miss the broad stuff because we're deep in the weeds.
Hmm.
And the other way that people tend to go is somebody else handle it. I don't even want to be involved.
Right.
And then we miss all the learning and we miss the decision making, we miss the overview, we might miss, the stuff that's really important to us, and then all of a sudden what we thought was happening is not happening. So I think it's important to find a good blend. Um, you can staff out almost as much as you want to. I say staff out, but hire professionals to handle a lot of it for you. But I don't think anyone should ever give up taking a look at what's in their bank account, taking a look at the statements, taking a look at the reports. Like that's important stuff for a business owner to know. Is kind of like, where's your money at? Where's it coming from? Where's it going? So even on the broader strategy, when you're thinking long-term stuff, yes, you want a professional to help you, but be just a little bit involved. Don't just completely do nothing. And if you're on the other extreme side of I'm going to do all this myself, it's kind of like going to the doctor. You can Google and you can get a lot of information, but it's probably not going to be everything. It's not going to give you all of the best advice. It's not going to know what you already have and be able to say, okay, well, you're doing this, so this might make sense. Like it doesn't have that personal touch if you do it all yourself. You need some professional to overview it. So it's still always worth it to have. Like I do a lot of my own bookkeeping. I don't find it hard. I like to know where I'm at on stuff, so that part's easy. But I have a professional that if I screw it up, I'm like, hey, I messed this up. Can you help? And then I have a tax person who does my overall strategy for me, so I know I'm on track there. Because taxes aren't my thing. I'm more of the like saving, retirement, life insurance. Like I do that kind of stuff. So I have people that fill in for me on the stuff that I don't specialize in.
Hmm. Great. Yeah, so it sounds to me, I'm seeing that visual image of like a horse with blinders on. So
Yeah,
either you have blinders on to you doing it, or you have blinders on and somebody else is doing it and you're not paying attention. So we kind of want to take the blinders off, get a separate perspective, and that's going to help us with even like you think about proofreading. If you're proofreading all of your financial numbers and your documents, it's great to have another set of eyes on those. Awesome.
yeah, 100%, 100% on that. Sometimes people get into this thing, and I know we're talking about some stuff that financial stuff that business owners tend to forget about. Sometimes we forget that budgeting is awesome, and you can call it whatever you
Uh-huh.
want, but it's really like a decision-making tool, and it keeps you from making expensive mistakes. And so, things like that sometimes I see people shy away from it. They're like, oh, that takes so much time. Oh, I don't want to do it. Oh, I don't want to talk about my money. I don't even want to open the statements. We forget that if you have information there, you can make really great decisions.
Hmm. Yeah, and I kind of went through that mental process myself yesterday with the budgeting. It was like a little bit overwhelming and a little bit stressful, but then at the end, it was just taking ownership and saying like, okay, I do have the tools to figure this out, even if, it looks complicated or it looks like there's a challenge ahead. Once you actually see it and you're not blind to it, then you can deal with it. So agreed.
Yeah, yeah, for
Tell us
sure.
what do you think the essentials are for a business to have in terms of financial planning?
Yeah, so I mean, you've got to keep track of what you're doing. You have to have records. IRS requires it. Like you've got to keep some kind of records, and they need to be clean.
Mm-hmm.
So one of the essentials that I think a lot of people forget about is separating the personal money and the business money,
Mm-hmm.
especially when you're an entrepreneur that maybe you don't have a lot of staff, you just got a couple contractors or something. It feels really easy to just go to the store and you're like, oh, I forgot my business card, so I'll just put this on my personal, right? Something easy like that. But if you're not separating those, it's really, really hard at tax time to prove what your business expenses were.
Mm-hmm.
Because, okay, so you went to a store that sells lots of things, like so you go to Target, right? Did you get groceries? Did you buy printer paper? Like, did you buy office supplies? Did all of that kind of gets commingled, and then it's very hard to know what you did if you're not keeping those clear records. So that's like just an essential of keeping them separate. There's actually a legal thing called piercing the corporate veil. If fancy words, but it basically means if you are not keeping your business and personal separate, you don't have your business protections anymore, your liability protections and stuff like that. So it can turn into a bigger deal than what we think it would be. You're like, oh, I'm just going to buy something small. It's not a big deal. It could be a big deal. So yeah, things like that. Paying yourself, people forget that sometimes.
Mhm.
They just keep putting money back in the business. They don't pay themselves. What's up with that?
So essentials are separate the money, right?
Yeah.
And
Separate the money. Separate business and personal money. Pay yourself first.
mhm,
Have a tax strategy. Okay. So many times we think taxes are just like April 15th. And we're like, oh, April 15th, taxes. Oh, I should get ready for that, right? So the tax strategy starts January 1st
mhm,
of the year before. So if
mhm,
you're like right now, we're what, November? If you're
mhm,
getting to November and you haven't talked tax strategy with your tax person, you've got like this much time to go do it. Get that in there because what you paid yourself, what expenses you had, if you did, donations, any of that kind of stuff, there's all kinds of things you could do to save on your tax liability. But after you cross over the end of the year, it's very small what things you could still do.
mhm,
In order to get some savings on your taxes. So the strategy part starts way early, and then you work with your tax person on that strategy throughout the year. So by the time you get to the end, you're all set.
mhm.
Same thing with keeping the records, doing your bookkeeping in something where it's written down and it's clear. Like, I don't know, a lot of people do QuickBooks. It works pretty well, but you could use whatever system you love. But doing that throughout so that when you get to tax time, you just run a couple reports and fill in some
Mhm.
boxes. It's not like this major stressful thing that takes you weeks to get it together. You should be able to knock it out in a day or
Yeah,
two.
yeah. And I think one of the pieces of that puzzle is actually scheduling it on your calendar. I know, like add it to our to-do list that it's tax time and we have to get all the documents together and whatnot, but and then we just keep pushing that off till it gets closer and closer to the deadline. So I love
Yes.
what you're saying, like give it some advanced thought, get some consulting around it, have a strategy so that you're not scrambling at the end of the year and especially not scrambling in the beginning of April. Like help your tax preparer that
Yeah.
they could could
Yeah, so I
deliver.
love that because I find myself telling people that all the time. Like, was it scheduled in your calendar? Like, no, it just didn't happen. Did you schedule it? No. Okay, well, I think I know why it didn't happen. So when you're scheduling these kinds of things, I actually do the bookkeeping part twice a month. I go with the 10th and the 25th if anybody wants specifics on dates because that tends to work really well. You can by the 10th, all the first of the month stuff is in, and by the 25th, you can set up all the end of the month stuff to make sure you don't miss something. So that tends to be good dates, and then it's caught up. It's always caught up. And I do book that in my calendar. I actually schedule time like those 2 days, this morning and this afternoon, whatever. Those are bookkeeping days. And it just gets done. And then that way, I'm never having this backlog where it's like, oh, I gotta fix it. And it's, 3 months worth or something. I can always make good decisions because I always know where everything is. And by the time it gets to tax time, that's also on the calendar. So it's super simple. It's like, okay, I am devoting this day and this day to the tax thing, and I'm going to fill out that planner that my tax person has sent me. I'm going to knock it out, and then I'm going on with my life. I'm not just going to be trapped trying to do this forever and ever because that really weighs on you, right? If you haven't done it and you're not ready and then you're scrambling at the end and it's getting closer and closer to the deadline and then your whole life is about trying to solve that one problem and you can't get anything else productive done, which I don't think is how we want to be most of the
No,
time.
definitely not. And your business needs you, but it needs you to do those incremental management pieces as well. So love that specificity of the 10th and the 25th. Just set those as your dates. Block off an hour, or depending on your business and the volume, you might need 2 hours. But that's a great reminder of putting in a little bit of time each month is going to save you a lot of stress and overwhelm at the end of the year. So great advice. Thank you so much for everything that you've shared today. Is there anything else you want to share in terms of how you support people with their financial planning and their business?
Yeah. Yeah. So I've got a couple things. One, start planning for the future now. I think we kind of alluded to that, in this putting it on your calendar and type thing, but think far ahead, like long game. Okay, what are you selling in the future? Are you retiring in the future? this would be the right time to think about that. Don't wait for it to get here and then try to figure that out, because it's going to be too late. So that's kind of my thing on there. And I have a little thing that people could download if they want to.
Yeah.
7 top wealth building tips for entrepreneurs. CamilleDiaz.com/wealth tips. And then you can grab that PDF on there for free.
Awesome. Love that. So hope everybody can go and grab that and get a little advice. And if you want to go a little bit deeper, feel free to reach out to Camille. And she's at Cam Unfiltered. And then she's also got the podcast, The Real Deal. Any other place that you want to mention for them to find you?
No, that's perfect. Just grab that CamilleDiaz.com/wealth tips. You can always message me here at Cam Unfiltered. I'm here all the time. And Brooke is going to be on the podcast, The Real Deal with Camille, soon. So watch for that. It's going to be great.
Yeah, I'm excited about that. I love the collaboration. So,
Yeah.
all right. Well, thank you again. And we hope to have you on again in the future, maybe a little bit after tax time so we can start preparing for the next year.
I would love that. I would love that. That'd be fabulous.
Awesome. Thank you
Thank you so
again.
much.
Bye-bye.